We are back. You can see I'm sweating out here. Getting this EM1 motor out. Got it off the mounts. Lifting it out the car right now. Trying to get everything done really early today. It's still morning time, but it's going to be like 103 today. It was 107 yesterday. Just check the weather. Next week. It's supposed to be like 117 on one of the days. Get this thing out in the morning so I can break it down tonight. I'll disassemble it tonight. Take a time lapse of that for you guys. And drop it off the machine shop tomorrow. And then we'll be on to working on the green coupes right here. Motor's out the EM1. Gonna bust it down later. I'll be back. Got the motor pretty bare, still gotta take off some sensors and water pump and stuff like that. We're gonna separate the head from the block next. Yeah, and then I'm gonna take the sensors off the head first, and I'm gonna separate the head from the block. Looks like they have ARP head studs in here, so probably been rebuilt before, but it's in for smoking pretty bad, so probably bad rings or valve guide seals or something like that. So we're gonna get that handled, but gotta fix this because that thing's stripped like always. Gotta pull that off without incident. Hopefully I can get it off easy. Looks like there's been work done to this recently. Got a newer water pump. You know, like I said, the ARP studs in here. So they were doing something. So we'll see if it's even stock motor. I know it has stock cams, and maybe they have like high comp pistons or something. But yep. What's up, YouTube? Today we outside. We back. But show you what I got going on real quick. Hold on. Boom. We got a fresh B16A from the machine shop. Got a fresh hone on it. Honed up pretty good at 81, so we left it standard. Gonna re-ring, new bearings. Got the head redone for the customer. This is a motor that's going in the EM1 actually. So yeah, it's gonna probably time lapse this. Anybody has any actual questions on like what to do, how to put this stuff together, you know, put the questions in the comments, and I'll try to make a video just for you guys to show you how to do some of these steps, so it doesn't I mean, just so you guys can do it on your own, you know, because all this stuff's not that hard. It's all stuff anybody can do, you know. I'm like you, you're like me. We can all do the same thing, so let's get it. I usually build these inside though, but we're outside. There's not much falling today. There's no real breeze. Leaves ain't really moving, so when I'm not working on it, I'm gonna cover it up. I was sitting here talking to family, and I got caught up on what I was gonna do, but I was checking the top rings in the bore. You know, you push them down there evenly. I use a LS piston PR4. It's not the cleanest, but it sits it down flat because the edge is flat all the way around. Like some of the dome pistons, you might not push it down as evenly, so I use the LS piston. But they all measure like 0.017. I wanted a little smaller than that since it's a stock motor. Usually they're like 0.01415 for the top ring, but 0.017 will be fine. It's not too much bigger, so I'm off that. I'm gonna set these in order, probably back here somewhere, and get on to the second ring. Now I'm getting extremely lucky on not having to file these rings. They're all slightly bigger than the measurements I want them to be at. So, you know, you can't make them smaller, you can only make them bigger. So, haven't had to gap me yet. They're like all 0.01, 0.02, 0.001 or 0.002 bigger than I need them to be, but that's not too bad. We're gonna get the which one is this? The rails for the third ring for the oil expander, and this is the actual oil expander in this bag. So we're gonna check the oil expander rails. They're supposed to have a gap of 0.015 in between them. So we're gonna get on that right now, make sure they have that minimum clearance of 0.015, and then we're gonna pop all these on the pistons, and then flip the block over, install the crank, all the main bearings, dust washers, all that stuff. Put the crank in there, check the clearances on that, and then we'll pop the pistons in there with the new rod bearings and all that. Yeah, keep on going. Very important. So when you take your old rings out, these grooves right in here, you want to make sure you clean those grooves out really good, and the holes that allow the oil to the back of the ring. But you want the groove to be smooth so the new rings can move around in there like they're supposed to, and not bind up at all, because if they bind up, they're going to get worn unevenly and it's not going to be a good deal. So you got to make sure all these grooves in between are clean. So that's what I'm doing right now. I cut a ring, so it's not that hard to clean the grooves out with, and then I'm probably gonna hit them with a toothbrush to make sure they're all smooth and clean, and yeah, and wash them probably with like some Simple Green or something. Yep. Real quick for you guys, this is how I clock my rings. It's top ring, second ring, the oil expander, and lower oil rail and upper oil rail. This is intake, this is exhaust. If you see a diagram that says like front of engine or anything like that, that just means the front is the way where the crankshaft pulley is. So that's the front of the engine. The back is the transmission side always. So the arrow on your piston should be pointing towards the crank pulley, and you got to make sure you have this right, because the valve release on the intake side are way bigger than the valve release on the exhaust side. So yeah, make sure you get that right so you don't have your pistons in there backwards or anything like that, have any weird issues. So we got all the new rings on the pistons, all the new rings on there clocked, everything. Got the new rod bearings in there. And now need to get the block, put it up here on the table. So I'm gonna put all this back together so the rod caps stay and the bolts stay with where they're supposed to go. Put all that like together by hand real quick, put it to the side, and put the block up here, flip it over, and get the crank in there, and get these main bearings in there and check the clearance on that, and then also get the dust washers in there and make sure that's good also. And so just keep on pushing. Get this bottom block together today at least. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get this. My camera battery's low, so hopefully I get this all on camera. If not, you guys will see the finished product. I'll be back soon. Had to stop. Something going down. What's going down? there's gonna be cops. Just the ambulance. Whoa, Black Betty, wham blam. If you guys ever get stuck like I did on the number 4 piston where it doesn't want to go down in the bore, just take your time. Don't tap it too hard. If it gets stuck, just redo it until you get it right. I could have got a better piston ring compressor. They have the taper ones that usually stops that from happening, but it took a couple tries. I got it in there. Onto the center 2, I got number 1 and 4 in. Gonna torque those down real quick, then put the centers in. And so when they brought this motor the first place that I'm building, it had a bad, it was all stripped out on the tensioner bolt. Man, I had to cut the crap out this thing and cut a slot in it and put a screwdriver in there and hit it till it backed out, and the thing was horrible. I got it done. Let's go. Bottom block is all assembled. Well, as far as the rotating assembly, pistons, rods, crankshaft. Oil pickup, oil pan on there, oil pump, rear main seal on there, time belt tensioner. I gotta put the water pump on still, a couple odds and ends, get the water pipe on the back, like all the thermostat housing, all that stuff. And put the head studs in here. I gotta clean those up first. I said I was gonna call it quits earlier, but now we got the head torqued down. The ARP's in there, head's torqued all the way down. I think I'm a good time to call it for the night. Start cleaning up and then get back to it tomorrow. Got the motor bagged up. I'm not gonna leave it out here to get dirt bagged overnight. You know I keep that bag on me. The bag, man, you know. Big bags. Get the bag. So today on the motor, we got everything pretty much buttoned up as far as like the cams, timing, rear main seal, oil pump, all that stuff. Did a valve adjustment. And it's got to get the clutch on here, intake manifold stuff, and I'm gonna drop it in the car once I get the new trans on too. Got the intake manifold on, about to slap the oil filter on here, getting pretty close in the back. Don't have much left to do. You just gotta move all the cars out the way, get this over there. Also gotta swap over, probably already said this, gotta swap the internals from the other transmission into another casing, because that casing that was on this motor had damage on the back where the 19s go for the T-brackets. I want everything to be holding place properly, so gotta get that trans into another casing. So. Still out here, I moved these cars out the way. My girl's hatch is parked out front. Had to move everything out so I can get the motor back here to the EM1. I'm gonna drop the motor in without the trans right now. So I gotta take the inner housing off the trans and replace that. I'm gonna drop this in on 2 mounts, and I'm gonna support the bottom with the jack and a block of wood for now until I get the trans done. I'm gonna pop that on there and button this thing up. Should be done the next day or so. Like I said, got the motor sitting in the car on 2 mounts and the jack with a piece of wood under there. We're swapping over the all the gears and everything in the top casing onto this inside casing, because this one's damaged. Where the 19s go, it's all broken. So I had to stop here because I got in here and I noticed there's a lot of chunks of metal, like actual chunks around in here, and I saw this, and this is usually a telltale sign when the differential breaks. So I tried to spin the teeth, and as you can see right there, it is missing the ends of the teeth. It was jamming up. It's not good, so we got to get a different differential for this vehicle. Motor's now in the car, is bolted up on the tranny mount, the rear T-bracket, and the driver's side mount. Got the clutch slave on there. Still got to put the shift linkage and everything. So everything around the motor has to go back on. Harness needs to be ran back through. Mid shaft, axles. I'll be able to drop this thing on the ground and fire this thing up. But yeah, I found the proper rear T-bracket bolts, thankfully. I was over here in a scramble trying to find those. I didn't want to have to go to pick and pull, but luckily I had some extra ones that came with a 1320 rear T-bracket, so we're in the game with that. It's gonna be a wrap for tonight. Be back on it tomorrow. Back, it's another day. EM1's getting there. So I had to address this radiator that they had in here, man. Look at this thing. Got the inner tube. We got the styrofoams. Real styrofoams. What do we got on the back? We got a shirt. The shirt was holding it to the center support bar right here. You gotta put another mount in there so this thing is held up properly also, so it doesn't break. Man, things I'm dealing with. And then that rear T-bracket bolt, man, that thing was crazy. They had this thing in there. And the thread pitch is actually, I put that other bolt. I have a bolted right thread pitch, man. It's a crazy difference. But you can tell this isn't the right thread pitch for that. This is super coarse thread. And this bolt is way thicker than the 19, so it blew out the back of the transmission housing where it had this in here. It's zipped in there. And that's why that blew that out. But luckily, we got another casing. Lucky for him, I had an EM1 casing, so we're good. But yeah, today I'm buttoning things up, try to get this radiator in here properly so we can get this going so Duke can take it home tomorrow. We got the EM1 back together. Everything's pretty much buttoned up. Get this first startup going. I just cranked for oil pressure for a while till that oil light went off. I have assembly lube in there, those two, so it's fine. But still want to crank for oil pressure. Nothing was, no fuel was leaking or seeping, so we're good there. Gonna hop in and see how this first start sounds. It might be a little raspy because the header doesn't match up to the exhaust right. It's not the same type of flange, but they just had it bolted together, so I put it back like that. So let's see what happens. Finally figured out the problem. I had one ground missing. Somehow patched that up. But running now, start up smooth. Feels pretty solid. Chilling. I thought I was done with the EM1, but then I forgot we ordered brakes for the thing. Got some Detroit axle slotted and drilled rotors. Came with the .3 and brake parts cleaner. We got fronts and rears and front and rear pads. We gonna throw those things on also. Thing's sick, huh?
Hella dope.
Came
I
with
wish
the fluids.
Kids came like that.
You better hit up Detroit axle. Also needs a oxygen sensor on bank 1, sensor 1, so it's the first oxygen sensor needs to be replaced on this car. It threw a code earlier when I pulled the car out, and I just turned it off for now, but it definitely needs that O2 sensor.